Welcome everybody, it's Salmon. In this video, I'm going to be breaking down for you guys the trailer we got today for Zombies Chronicles, and this one was so cool. It just got me so hyped for what's coming next. Not only is Zombies Chronicles, but the future and Treyarch's next game, because this was just so insane, and I was really blown away by this trailer. So what we're going to be doing, I'm not going to be playing every part of the trailer, I'm not going to be breaking out every second of it. What I'm going to do is just go to the important parts and only talk about those. Just keep that in mind while watching this. So with that out of the way, let's actually get into this video. So right at the start, we actually see something very interesting that we've never seen before, and it has to do with the weather outside, and it's actually snowy. And this may not be important, but it is kind of weird that it is snowy outside, but there's also a snow globe of the house, which is obviously snowy inside a snow globe. So I think there's some correlation, not too sure if there's a connection, but there is some correlation. Also, one thing you know before we move on, notice that the window is actually open, and this will become important later on. On entering the snow globe, we actually see this weird layer on the outside of the screen, and it kind of looks like, to me at least, the iris of an eye. So what I think they're trying to tell us is that we're looking at this from someone's perspective. It's not our perspectives, but somebody else's, which is very interesting because it plays a really big part later in this trailer. So anyways, when we actually get into Verrucht, we actually see Jug and a Gobblegum machine. So of course we kind of already knew Jug was in Verrucht. Well, we were pretty darn confident in that one, but now it's confirmed that the Gobblegum machines are going to be inside the Dream Masters for anybody who doubted. So anyways, skipping a little bit on, we actually see Wyler and Shaolin a few flashes, and these flashes I don't think are that important, but I'll point out the ones I think are important. But this one inside Shaolin, it actually shows flashes of the Hellhound, and the reason why is probably because this is when the Hellhounds were first introduced to us all the way back in Shaolin. And then skipping again forward, we see these flashes again, and they're actually of the Nova Crawlers this time, and this is actually in Kino, which again, this is probably because this is the first time we saw the Nova Crawlers inside any map before. So I think those are the main reasons for those flashes, at least those ones. But then right after this, while we're still in Kino, we actually head into the teleporter, and we are teleported back to the house. And this is actually a really cool Easter egg, and I was so happy when I saw this, because if you think back to Kino, or even Revelations, because we had a part of Kino inside Revelations, but even back in Kino, we were actually teleported to Samantha's room. And same thing as Revelations, when we went inside the same teleporter, we were teleported into Samantha's room. So it's a really cool Easter egg that they actually include inside this, but I really hope they do something with this is actually in game. It'd be cool if they add an Easter egg to Kino, but I don't know, but we'll have to see. So anyways, while in the house, we actually see a bunch of flashes, I think 3 in total, and I'm pretty sure they're all just zombies, so I'm not going to stop by and look at every single one of them. And for most of these flashes from now on, except the ones at the end, are all just zombies, so I'll just mention them, but I won't really look at them because they're not that important. But while we're in the house again, we actually see whatever we are, whatever the perspective we're looking from, it actually starts interacting with things inside the room. First, we see this mystery box when it first goes into the room, and the mystery box starts opening slightly and glowing blue in the inside. Then after that, it starts knocking over chess pieces and blowing out the lantern. So it has to have at least some sort of physical form of sorts, or could at least affect the physical items in the room. And it gets even more interesting because then we start hearing whispers, and these whispers sound very similar, at least to me, that we actually heard from the Shadow Man in the Revelations intro. If you guys think about when we had the summoning key and Maxis got the summoning key, he started hearing whispers, and they sound similar to it. And people are saying if you play these backwards, you could hear certain things, but when I listened back, I couldn't really hear anything, so I'm not really going to show them in this video. So I don't know, we'll just leave them out for now because I just don't hear anything at all. But then when we're actually under the bed, we see this green rod, and this rod, I have no idea what it is. It looks very suspicious, but I don't think we've ever seen anything like this inside Zombies before. But if you guys know what this is or have any ideas for what this is, of course, down in the comments. But also, I want to go back to these flashes in this room, because when these flashes happens, it happens at a very suspicious time, because when we have the first flash in the room, it's when we're actually by the mystery box, and then after that, it's when we're at the chess table and the lantern, and then even after that, it's when we're knocking over the civil protector. And so what it seems to me is that when these flashes happen, it actually signifies that whatever we are, whatever the perspective we're looking from, is actually interacting with it. So this may signify something that happened in previous flashes, maybe it added in the dogs to Shironuma or the Nova Crawlers to Kino, and of course later on this video when we see more flashes, maybe it's saying whatever this force we are is actually interacting with the map and changing it in some sorts. But it seems too much of just a coincidence to every single time it's flashing in this room, it actually interacts with it. But maybe it's nothing, we'll have to see, hopefully at least. Before we're entering back into the snow globe, note that the figures of our original crew are all normal and intact. Then skipping over some, we actually see more flashes and Moon, and again these ones are just zombies. But then going to Shaolin, of course we have more flashes, except this time it's interesting because inside one map we were shown 2 separate flashes, which is very interesting because all the other ones only had 1 flash per map. So maybe if I'm correct from what I was saying earlier, that these flashes actually changed something in the map and something was changed twice to Shaolin, but again, maybe that's just nothing. And then going into Ascension, this is the last map we see 4 whole flashes, and this one is so weird, and it kind of makes me believe that that's actually what's happening. Maybe it's not signifying that this one thing that we are maybe looking at the perspective from is interacting with it, or just signifying that somebody from a different dimension or time actually interacted with this, because there's 4 whole flashes and we know that Gersh, Samantha, Yuri, and the original crew all did some of those things. Gersh teleported outside of his dimension into Garage Crovey all over the place, and he also teleported our original crew to Call of the Dead. Yuri used a Gersh device to bring Samantha into Ascension, and then Samantha teleported Yuri to the Pentagon. So there's 4 interactions from separate dimensions inside this, so maybe that's what it's signifying. I'm just saying, it's really suspicious at this point, but we'll have to see. Of course, like I said, that is just speculation, but in these 4 flashes, actually a couple interesting things happen unlike the rest of them, because in this one we see a couple weird things that I'm not too sure what exactly is the reason for it. So first we see a skull, so maybe that just is special because zombies are supposed to be creepy and all that stuff. Then we see a panzer, well, it's just another form of zombie. Then we see a collection of skulls, which is even more interesting. And then in this last one, it shows a couple frames of something that I actually have no idea what that is. Like, look at it, it looks like some kind of explosion or tentacle thing. I don't know what it is. It just looks so weird to me. I have no idea, but if you guys have any ideas for it, go ahead and tell me down in the comments, but I'm really at a loss for it. Then exiting the snow globe, we see something very interesting, because when we exit, Samantha actually realizes our presence, or whatever we are supposed to be looking for this perspective of it. She actually looks directly at us, so she kind of just realized and acknowledged the presence of whatever we are, but then of course turning away and looking at the window. Then a flash happens once again, interacting with the house and making her disappear. First, so what the heck? Samantha just disappeared. Wait, what's happening here? I am so confused. I am honestly at a loss for what that means, because it gets even weirder, because right after this, I'm sure you guys have already watched the trailer and seen this, but another Samantha walks into the room. Like, what? What does that even mean? Wait. What's happening here? What is this signifying? Maybe this is a cleansing of the Samantha, or what is this? What is it talking about here? What is it trying to say? Is it teasing at something for the future of zombies in Treyarch's next game, or what? I'm just at a loss. I really have no idea what this could possibly mean. But anyways, when a new Samantha walks into the room, it shows a globe on the floor, and 2 things to know is that now, unlike before, the figures for our original crew are actually destroyed now, so who knows what that could signify. Maybe it means they died or something along those lines, maybe. But then inside the globe, and I don't think this is really anything, but I saw it and I decided to point out, but if you look in the globe on this tree right here, you can actually see some green glowing thing here. Not too sure what that is exactly, but it may just be nothing. Then it turns back to Samantha that just walked into the room, and she kind of looks disappointed to me. I don't know if that's really the case, but she kind of looked disappointed to me. Maybe she was actually expecting someone to be in there. Maybe the person that we were looking from the perspective of, she was expecting that person, or whatever exactly happening, or maybe the other children. We really don't know. But regardless, she looks very disappointed, but then she heads right to the window and closes it. And this is very, very interesting, because, well, if you guys know about the Origins ending cutscene and everything we heard inside Draizidrak, Setsubo no Shima, I don't think there was anything in Garage Trophy, but then again, in Revelation, we always heard a repeat of that same quote from Maxis: make sure the windows are closed before you come down to the basement. Like, this thing was repeated so many times, so why the windows have to be closed, I have no idea in the first place. But people are saying that maybe when this happens, it allows other things to enter into the house. Maybe that's what we are, and what the perspective we were looking from. Maybe that's what it allowed to enter the house, because they left the windows open, but I'm just not entirely sure. But anyways, that's about it for this video. If you guys did enjoy the video, go ahead and thumbs up. If you guys want to stay tuned for content similar to this, go ahead and subscribe. But I'm going to go, and I will catch you guys on my next video.